Today we are still looking at slope and rate of change. How do I find slope is still my essential question. Learning intention, I'm learning to find the rate of change, which is slope. You've got two tables and you've got two graphs. Find the slope of each of those. So pause the video and see if you can do the slope on your own. Well, I do hope you tried. For the first one, change in x, the change in y. 1 plus what gives me 4? 3. 3 plus what gives me negative 27? Negative 24. So my slope is change in y over change in x. And that will give me negative 24 over 3. And that is negative 8 as the slope. Okay, if you were not able to do the first one on your own, can you do the second one? Pause the video and find out. Well, I hope you tried. 7 plus what gives me 8? 1. 31 plus what gives me 23? Negative 8. So what does it look like now? My slope is delta y, negative 8, over 1, delta x, and that gives me negative 8 a second time. So both of those tables give you the same slope. What about finding the slope from a graph? Remember, our slope is rise over run, and I'm going to count. I go up 1. You count the boxes, the whole box. I go up 1. I go right 1, 2. So my slope is 1/2. Will it work for another time? I can go up 1, I can go right 1, 2, and I could keep making points along the line as far as I wanted to. Okay, for the next one, what do we notice? This one's positive, this one's negative. So what does my slope look like? This time it's going to be negative something. So I go down 1, 2. So that's negative 2. I go right 1, 2. Negative 2 over positive 2 gives me negative 1. So that slope is negative 1. Now when we're working with slopes, we've also always have special lines that we need to know the slope for. One of these special lines is what we call a vertical line. So if we're looking at this, let's find 2 points and figure out what the slope of a vertical line will be. So this would be 3, 5. And this will be 3, 0. So my slope is the change in y over the change in x. Does it matter which point I start with? No, the slope will not change depending on where you're starting. It will still have the same slope. So 5 minus 0 over 3 minus 3. That gives me 5 over 0. Do you see a problem with that? Can we divide by 0? No. We cannot divide by 0. So, it is undefined. So the slope of a vertical line is undefined. And it is specifically for the reason we just stated. You cannot divide by 0. So anytime you see a vertical line, you do not have to find the slope because you know it will be undefined. Okay, the slope of a horizontal line. Well, if the slope of a vertical line is undefined, what do you think is going to happen with the slope of a horizontal line? Because horizontal and vertical are kind of opposites. What do you think will happen? Well, let's look at 2 points. This is -2, -1. And this one is 2, -1. So my slope, which is the delta y over delta x, I've got -1 minus -1. Over -2 minus 2. -1 plus 1 is 0. -2 minus 2 more is -4. And this gives me 0. So the slope of any horizontal line will be 0. So every time you see a horizontal line, think 0. Vertical line, think, oops, undefined. Throughout our whole life, we look at positive and negative slopes. We might not think that's what they are. We might not even say, oh, that's a negative slope. But we are always seeing negative slopes. When you walk down the ramp out of school, negative slope. When you walk up the ramp to school, positive slope. So let's look at these examples. For the first one, is that a negative or a positive slope? Going downhill, that would be negative. What about the other one? The airplane is taking off. It's going up into the sky. That would be positive. Positive slope and negative slope. Okay, what is rate of change? It's kind of like your slope, but a lot of times you're dealing with it in real world. So there's one rate of change that you really use once you start driving all the time. If you go over what you're supposed to, you will get a speeding ticket. What is the rate of change? Miles per hour. Can you think of another one? When you get ready to buy a vehicle. This is one of the things you want to look for unless you have a lot of money. It's not how many miles per hour it will go, but MPG, miles per gallon. If you have a good MPG, you don't have to spend as much filling your tank all the time. So my vehicle gets about between 30 and 40 miles per gallon. That makes it nice because I only have to fill my tank about every other week. Okay, the variable represented by the x-axis is called. We've got two things we're looking for, the dependent and the independent variable. So think about graphing on the Cartesian plane. Do you graph the x-axis or the y-axis first? Well, you go right or left, that's your x-axis, before you go up or down. So the variable represented by your x-axis is the independent. Variable. And the variable represented by the y-axis is the dependent variable. This is your input, this is your output. Why? Because your y value will depend on the input. In other words, that input is your x value. So, think about the rate of change of a linear function. What is a linear function? Linear means it is a what? It's a line. The rate of change of a line is constant. It will not change. So, how do you know when you're successful? When you can find the rate of change or the slope from different, like from diagrams, graphs, from an equation, from 2 points. And this is rate of change. Or slope.